I'm reminded of that joke from Family Guy where the guy sells tumbleweeds. You ever see this one? Where he's like, y'all laughed at me. And then he's the only one flourishing in a town where the economy has completely collapsed. So I see this story from Business Insider, which I covered in an earlier segment, but I wanted to get more detail on as I'm reading the news and realizing, yeah, these people might be right. Meet the group preparing for a Soviet Union-type collapse of the U.S. economy. Perhaps a bit bold. But when I was looking through the news, I was actually, I have this story talking about women in the gym again. And I'm like, I like these cultural and social things. And then I read this story from the Daily Mail. Workers fury as thousands lose their jobs after Red Lobster immediately shutters more than 50 outlets across America without warning. Holy crap. 50 stores. How many employees? Thousands of people just lost their jobs overnight. And I'm looking at all of this. It's part of this bigger picture I was talking about in the earlier segment, where it feels like the Titanic is sinking. Biden is blasted as clueless and out of touch for claiming Americans have the money to spend when told grocery prices are up 30% in rare sit-down interview. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I can see the numbers. I run a business. And we do a lot of things. We have castbrew.com. Head over to castbrew.com if you want to buy our coffee. We have ads. We have year-over-year metrics on ads, and we can correlate the data from ad sales on YouTube and sponsor spots with viewership and economic trends. I'm going to tell you right now, I think things are about to get bad. I don't know how bad. I'm not saying, it may just be that things are bad. I don't know how much worse they will get. But the thing to understand when it comes to ads on Google is that for YouTubers, generating revenue is not a centralized thing. It's not like I make a video and then I say, hey, Pepsi, you want to buy ads? There are some companies that do dedicated spots. Like, when we read on the audio version, we have like some dedicated sponsors that re-up every month or whatever. This month, we actually brought on sponsors. I rarely do this. You may have noticed that on this channel, there are, last month we did, I think, 2. This month there will be, I think, 8. So, making 16 videos per week, only 8 of them will have ad spots. And that's to compensate for the decentralized ad system on the decline. And that is, irrespective of viewership counts, we are actually seeing ad rates go down right now in some areas. That's indicative to me of mom and pop shops being unable to afford advertising. A lot of the ads that YouTube generates are a small business advertising to a local area. Right now, when I turn on YouTube and we're watching, on TV, a Riley Moore ad will come up. Riley, who was just on the show, is running for Congress. And so he's targeting specific areas. He's not spending nearly as much as a national level politician, but it's these local ads that really generate a lot of revenue. For my videos, when I put this out and they're viewed all across the country, that means I might make $17 for a local politician in Dubuque, Iowa, because he says, I want to run ads on YouTube. YouTube then puts those ads on my videos, which are seen by people in that place. And it's small, but it's all across the country. This means that most of the money being made, it's decentralized from small businesses giving you bits and pieces here and there. As these small businesses struggle and start to go under, we don't hear about them in the news. When you hear about 50 Red Lobsters closing, that's shocking because it's Red Lobster. It's a big chain and thousands of people lost their jobs. But do you think it is only Red Lobster that is failing? These are massive corporate chains. They're able to absorb losses better than mom and pop shops. Understand, if Red Lobster is shutting down 50 locations, that means mom and pop shops, family-owned businesses have been shuttering in comparable numbers, and you don't hear about it in the news. The national level press is not going to report that the Johnson family diner went out of business after 40 years. Local news might do it, and people will lose their jobs, and it will be shocking. But the national level, watching videos like this, you don't see those stories. When I see this story from Business Insider, Meet the group preparing for a Soviet Union type collapse of the U.S. economy. My thoughts really are, is this going to be the guys with the tumbleweed saying, y'all laughed at me, but no, who's laughing now? And he jumps in the convertible with the hot woman and he fans the money. And she's like, that makes you attractive. It's a funny joke. But the joke, the idea really being that people are going to look at these guys. They're on the subreddit Economic Collapse. There's about 36,000 people who are talking about and aggregating news on this economic crisis that we're looking at potentially erupting. And they may ridicule them and say, you're crazy. The question then is, what is the net negative to being one of these crazy people? If you believe the economy is on the verge of collapse, what do you do? Do you move out of cities? Do you reduce your costs? Do you start buying hard assets? Do you put your money in places that will create more value in the event of an economic crisis? Will you get chickens, perhaps, but livestock in general? Garden, get land far away, take the opportunity to prepare for something that may get bad? Or do you sit around and wait to be a person standing in a bread line? I don't have the answers for you. If you get out of the cities and you improve your life, get physically fit, get some animals, have a garden, and start working on yourself, there's no downside. If you sit and do nothing, you're in trouble. Not everybody can do this. Not everybody has this capability. They say the movement is gaining popularity with the subreddit membership growing 80% in the past 2 years. Even passing interest in the potential downfall of the economy is on the rise. There's an element of alarmism here, but the general pessimism mirrors how many Americans feel about the economy. Let's go to the news about Red Lobster, and we'll talk directly about it. Red Lobster staff across the country are up in arms after the seafood restaurant shuttered more than 50 outlets across the nation with no warning. The chain has temporarily closed locations in Buffalo, Orlando, Jacksonville, and other cities, and is auctioning off kitchen equipment and furniture. The brand is also reportedly eyeing up a possible Chapter 11 filing to restructure its debt. But it has also left its workers in a scramble to find employment, with many Red Lobster staff claiming they were laid off with no warning. One TikToker posted a stitched video that started with her talking through her day working at Red Lobster on Mother's Day before she complained about being laid off. Look, that's crazy, man. But jobs aren't guarantees. She said in a video posted with the caption, "I got another job, but still, damn Red Lobster. Why was that my last shift working here? Because they can't make money. Because the economy is in a dark place. People aren't going out to eat as much." It's getting scary, man. Joe Biden goes on TV and says, people got money to spend. People don't got money to spend. This is what I'm talking about. I can see it in all of our metrics running this business. At a national level, with the amount of money that this company generates, it is plainly visible. If you're a small business, and I'll reiterate this point, a small business says, our sales are down X percent, people in the local area, so you lower your prices, you try and figure it out, but maybe you can't. Maybe it becomes unsustainable. What we are looking at with a national level business, and we are seeing people from California to New York, Florida to Seattle. What we are looking at is all these little bits across the country. And so we see this granular wave. When I look at numbers per video, per viewer, CPM, and all of that stuff, we can even track the region where we're more likely, or the state, where we get most of our views, Timcast.com especially, and we can see it. It's got me worried. Now, there is some net benefit, I suppose. I think that when you look at the state of the economy, Trump's going to win. There was a poll I saw where it's like Trump's up 40 points. When people are asked who will do a better job on the economy, you see Donald Trump at like 68%. And this may be it. We talk about all the crises that our country faces: war, conflict crisis, homelessness, drug abuse, economics. And a lot of people think the end is nigh. But I wonder if the issue is actually much simpler than that. When it gets bad, people snap to attention and we course correct. There's that saying: strong men make good times make weak men make hard times make strong men. There's the micro and the macro of that. In the macro, the bigger picture, you have Strauss-Howe generational theory that you've got a generation of people who are beset by crisis on all sides, and it makes them resilient. The weak struggle and fail to survive. The strong survive, and they have children. That hard time made those men strong. Those strong men have families and make good times through hard work. But those good times then bring about another generation that are complacent. And that complacency leads to hard times again. The fourth turning, they call it, every 4 generations. 80 years before, 80 years in the past, World War II. 80 years before that, Civil War. 80 years before that, the American Revolution. Crises. But there's also the short end of that, from the macro to the micro, and that is elections. Within generations, you have the same phenomenon. Things are good. Food is aplenty. Bellies are full. So people stop paying attention and crooks get into office. And maybe this is also a component of the Strauss-Howe generational theory as well. More and more crooks get into office, resulting in a conflict, resulting in hardship, and then people snap to attention and decide to do something about it. I certainly hope so. Yahoo Finance says the U.S. now has an 85% chance of recession in 2024, the highest probability since the great financial crisis, economist David Rosenberg says. Here's what I hope for. I think we need Trump for better or for worse, for all the good, for all the bad, whatever it may be. It's the economy, stupid. Economics matters. Here's what I hope for. 2025. New businesses begin to flourish. Cash is being spent. People are going out to eat with their families. The business with extra cash then purchases some local ads on Google and says, we're doing well. We want to get the word out that our business has a new rib dinner special. And they do. And that money trickles over to Timcast. We then spend that money on employment and expansion, which then goes to people who are doing work, contractors, for instance. Those contractors say, wow, we just got a great job, pays really well. We're building out this chicken coop. And so I'm going to take the family out for dinner. Family then goes out for dinner at a local restaurant. Local restaurant then says, wow, we're seeing more customers. Let's invest in expansion. Opens a new restaurant. Now they got 2 locations. They say, we're going to need to advertise this new location, spend ads. You get the point. That's what we want to see with that growth. It's not going to happen under Joe Biden. All we see now is the real risk of economic crisis staring us right in the face. And I don't want that to happen. I want to see, a rising tide lifts all ships. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is telling people everything's going to be okay. Yet many people believe we could be facing the extreme of a Soviet-style collapse. I don't know about all that. But I certainly think the data shows on my end and the back end, as well as in the news, dark days are ahead unless something happens. The only thing I can say is, with the risk to the economy, at the very least, if it happens now, people might vote for Donald Trump, and then maybe he can turn things around. But if the economy holds out, Joe Biden's announcing these tariffs, despite ragging on Trump for doing the same thing during his presidency. If Biden tries to hold this off just a little bit and blocks the dam from breaking enough that he gets reelected, the dam breaks under his administration, and we're screwed for 4 years. I can't tell you I have all the answers. Sorry. That's just not available to me, as I often say. What I can say is just what I see, and I hope you take the appropriate responses, start looking into this information. Maybe it's all wrong, but no one ever regretted improving themselves and preparing for disaster. I'll put it this way. Unless somebody sold off all their belongings and built a bunker and went underground for thinking the bombs are about to drop. I mean, on average, you don't make dramatic changes to your life. You start working out, you start eating right, you move away from the cities slowly but surely, and you've had several years now to consider how to do it. And then, if something happens, you'll be better off. And if nothing happens, so what? That's what I say about the emergency food stuff that we do sometimes promote. Your worst case scenario, what could that mean? Well, economically, if you buy emergency food and nothing happens, your worst case scenario, you eat food. You needed the food anyway. The actual worst case scenario, it's funny, is something bad does happen and you have to crack the emergency food open. But that's why I always say, like, why not just have emergency food? Why not be prepared? Because you need food and water anyway, right? I'm looking at this news, and I was going to talk about some gym thing, and now I'm just like, I don't know, maybe I'll talk about it in the next segment, but it got me worried about this, this economic stuff. Because I can hear it, and I can see it. It's got me worried. Look at this. We got gold up $14. Gold going way up. We'll see, man. I don't know. You've got Dow down, S&P's down, crude oil's down. NASDAQ is doing all right. Stock right here. Hey, look at this. DJT is up 4 points, 4%. We'll see. We'll see. Biden's out of it. It's the economy, stupid. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.